The holidays are a bit of a mixed bag for me. I find myself reconciling the loss of so much of my family with the family that I currently have with my husband. And truth be told, it can be tough really any time of year, but the holidays, they're just especially difficult. And I want to talk about it. Welcome back to Soulful Wonderings, the space where we search for meaning in everyday life and honor the lessons that help us grow. I'm Heather and I'm your host. Before we get started, we would love it if you would subscribe to our podcast. That really helps us out. You can also head over to our socials and follow us there. And of course, all that information will be in the show notes. And really quickly, a reminder about our Healing Lens email series, where through my lens, I capture images and stories that become prompts for your own healing journey. You can sign up for the Healing Lens emails over on our website, which is soulfulwonderings.com, and I will put that in the show notes as well. So at the time this episode is airing, we are in the thick of the holidays, and we are literally days away from Thanksgiving. By the way, I feel like Thanksgiving gets a bad rap. Do y'all? I feel like so many of us sort of jump to Halloween from the summer and then we just kind of skip over Thanksgiving and go to Christmas. But y'all, Thanksgiving has its own value, even if you put aside how it started and the historical stories that we were told that may or may not be true. I think it's a nice time. It's a great time to just sort of do what it's for, which is give thanks and enjoy the changing seasons. And I've kind of come to enjoy those days off and being able to just kind of take a break and just be for a few days. Now, speaking of Thanksgiving being skipped, Thanksgiving was never really a thing in our house. I mean, we celebrated. I think Mom saw this as a time, where she could cook a fun meal for everyone. And in truth, I think she liked to cook and make the meals. And besides the control issues we've discussed in the past, she really did find enjoyment in doing those things. Christmas, however, was her time. We talked about that last time and how much she loved it. And I have too for so many years. Oh my goodness. But now it's hard. I'm finding myself just feeling empty and a bit lost. And this is kind of recent and probably for a lot of reasons. But yeah, I'm just sort of blah. So a little backstory. My mom died the year I got married. And then my son was about 3, I think, when my dad died. My sister had actually already passed away at that point. And all the immediate family that I had left was my brother. And it was, let's just say, not a good time dealing with the estate from my dad's passing. And the truth is, he's a good bit older than me. So we've just never been really close. There's quite an age gap there. So it was difficult to, I think, create that relationship. But even still, it's still hard, all of this, it still hurts. And, family has been everything to me most of my life. We moved around a lot. I think I counted one time and I had changed schools 9 times. I think it was 9 in 13 years, from kindergarten through senior year. It was 9 or 10 times, I think. So making friends was never easy for me, and to this day, I don't feel like I have a lot of friends. Most of them are online, and we keep up through Facebook and whatnot. But it's hard. It's hard for me to have these deep connections. I think through all those years, I've sort of conditioned myself to protect, right? And to stay a bit superficial, let's call it that, in my relationships. It's not personal. It's me. In my childhood, as soon as you got close, you moved, right? And family was the only constant. And then when all of this sudden it just wasn't, it was a very deep adjustment for me to make. One that I admit I haven't always done very well with, because I feel like no matter how much I heal, no matter how much I look at this, I still struggle to let people in. Surface, sure, let's do it. Really getting to know me, not so much. And I would go so far as to say, I don't know how many people in my life really know me beyond a superficial level. I mean, a small handful at best, if that many. But just that fear of being left or hurt, it has me putting up walls. Now, the blessing in some of this has been my in-laws. They took me in right away. They really did. My husband has a fairly big family. There are things that actually parallel to my own, that the size of the families of our parents, and then the number of siblings we have and whatnot. But it dawned on me recently that I've had his parents in my life, as parents, sort of longer than I did my own. And I'm that one hurt. that was a little jarring when I figured that out. Okay, move past that. But even in all those years that I've been around them, what's really crazy? My in-laws in particular, his parents, I still don't know what to call them. They were always Mr. and Mrs., before. And then when we all started having kids, they just became Granny and Papa. And for some reason, even now, and it's been years, it's hard for me to formulate the words mom and dad when I'm referring to them. What's interesting, though, is that they basically refer to us that way. And I mean us, me, and my brother-in-law. For instance, one day my mother-in-law was telling us how she had seen an old friend at the grocery store, I think. And she was explaining something that had happened with her daughter. And of course, the lady looks at her very confused, because she knows all of her kids, and she knows that they only have one daughter. And the story that was being recounted, apparently, it was like, that's not your daughter. And so the lady was very confused. And then she actually caught herself, my mother-in-law kind of caught herself and realized she was talking about me and was referring to me as her daughter. And this is not the only time that they've referred to me or my brother-in-law in particular as their kids. And my brother-in-law, in fact, he's had a fair amount of loss too. So to say that it's nice that they do that feels so lame, for what it really means. Because it means so much. It really does. It's so lovely. It's so kind. It's touching. And it is both heart healing and heartbreaking at the same time. To have someone that feels that strongly about us is truly amazing. It is absolutely amazing. But it can also be a reminder of what I've lost. So as much as I feel welcome and loved and all the things, and I'm not taking away from any of that. Please understand that. There's just a moment that will come at times where I remember all of a sudden that they aren't mine. And look, stay with me for a second. Let me see if I can make this make sense. And I know it's going to sound a bit dramatic. I get that. It's just kind of the best example I have. So stay with me. I never questioned that my family, a member of my family, would give their life for mine just like I would for theirs. But if it came to it, my in-laws, my current quote-unquote family, they're going to protect their own first. And hear me, as well they should. As well they should. This is not a slight. I 100% agree with that. I 1000%, I infinity percent agree with that. Okay. And here's part of it. I don't think that's a conscious choice. I think that would be instinctual. And understand this as well. I'm not saying they wouldn't protect me. They love me. All of those things. They do. They do. I know this. But at the end of the day, I'm not theirs. And there are others that are going to rank higher. This isn't a poor me. This isn't negative. This is reality. Like I said, I think it's a subconscious choice. It just is. Because here's the reality. As much as I feel loved and I feel part of the family, and I am part of the family, and all of those things, I'm not theirs. At least in my mind. I'm not theirs. And that's hard for me to shake. It's hard for me to let go 100% and just allow it. And like I said, I feel this more at the holidays, because the reality is, if life was different, if it had gone differently, this is a time in particular that I would be with my people. I would go to my family. We would be having that crazy, annoying, stressful conversation about how we're going to make visits to all the families work over the holidays, over, a 2-day period. How are we going to see everybody? That's a stress I wish I had, because we don't have those discussions anymore. They're just not necessary. And maybe that's where my guard comes from, that I don't want to feel that pain, but I will. And the truth is too, though, no matter how many walls I put up, this family, this new family, they're here. They're part of my life, and they are my family. They are. And I am eternally grateful to God that He gave me another one, especially one so amazing and so loving and so accepting of me. But I do wonder at times, do other people feel like this? Am I the only one? I can't be the only one that feels like this. But what do we do now? What do we do with these feelings? Much like last episode, these are some that I'm kind of reflecting on this time myself, which is one reason why I'm offering it up to you. If you are having some of the same dilemmas. So I have some ideas of some things we could do, some thoughts. Take what resonates, leave the rest. So I'm going to go over them real quick. And I'm also going to put them in the show notes, so that if you are so inclined, you could come back to them and be able to follow them along easier than just listen to me. So what I'm going to invite you to do is to take a deep breath with me, and to put your hand on your heart, and to name one thing that you're grateful for, and one thing that hurts. Both of those things are welcome. Now I want you to picture one person who feels steady in your life. I want you to whisper their name. And last, I want you to ask yourself, what's the smallest way I can let myself be held this week? How did that feel for you guys? It's really making me think about a lot of things. It's making me reflect. And it is reminding me that I can be grateful and hurt at the same time. There's space for both of those things in our lives. Now I want to offer, I would call these micro rituals that you could do that may help you. For instance, what if you light 2 candles? Light one that represents the family that you came from, and that one represents the family that you have now. And say one sentence of gratitude for each one, but then blow them out together. It reminds me of a cord cutting ceremony. How about you guys? But it's kind of doing the opposite. I love that. That's really neat. Another one, we're going to call it a doorway breath. So before you walk into a gathering, simply inhale, saying the words, I belong to me. And then when you exhale, say the words, I let myself be loved. That's a good one too. Another one is a memory portion. So basically, maybe bring a tiny piece of an old tradition. Maybe it's a song. Maybe it's a recipe, an ornament. Name it out loud once, and then just let the day be what it is. Another one you could try is a pocket anchor. And this could be carry a small token of some kind. It could be a stone, a ring, a note. And maybe if there's times when you're feeling a little floaty, you could, just reach in a pocket and touch it and repeat, right here, right now. It's a great way to ground yourself back into the present moment. And lastly, I have 3 journal prompts you might try to help you work through this. The first one is, where do I feel both grief and gratitude this season? What do each of those things need from me? Those are big ones to explore. Second, what does quote unquote being someone's mean to me now? And where do I already feel chosen? And last, with my partner's family, where do I keep a polite distance? And where could I safely lean in 5% more? Just 5%. These are not easy waters to navigate, are they? Grief is real. And that's not only grieving the people that you miss, but you're also grieving a life that you had before this one. And I think it's very important to acknowledge that all our feelings that we have at this time, whether they're sad or happy, they're all valid and they're all real and they all can coexist in this space. So give yourself some grace, but I'll also invite you to give the others in your life some grace as well. Often when we're going through something or we're feeling all these emotions, these big emotions, sometimes people on the other side of that, they may not really know how to help us. They may not know what to say. They may be dealing with their own issues at the time as well. So if there's ever a time where grace is important, I think it's now. So I'm going to leave you with one final thought. May your heart hold grief and gratitude at the same table. May you belong to yourself, even as you let others hold you. And may softness find you in the in-between.